best thing that can happen to a human being is the ability to learn. And for a woman, inspiring each other becomes what we all look up to. You're welcome to the Horizon Village 007 right here on Adore TV. I am Anastasia Baddoo. We are coming to you live from the premises of Her Excellency Jeanet Mason, the South African High Commissioner to Ghana. This morning we are going to engage her. She's going to take us through her journey as a child and coming up as Commissioner, her school, her education. We are talking about her family. We're also going to talk about what inspired her to be who she is and why you look up to her. We are going to engage her on other issues as well, and we hope that you're going to follow us through the conversation and you can also pick something from it. Maybe you're looking forward to some inspiration in there when it comes to education or making better choices for your life. Enjoy the show. Your Excellency, you're welcome.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
We're honored to have you on the show, and for our very first guest, I'm sure it's going to open a lot more very good doors for us to be able to get people like you.
Thank you, and thank you for having me on your show, and good afternoon to all your viewers.
All right. So before we kickstart with everything about family and education, we would like to know what the typical morning of the High Commissioner is like.
A typical morning with me is I start my morning with benediction, prayer, and I would like to commence with a scripture that has inspired me throughout my life. And it's a scripture that my mom always said to me wherever I went and wherever I traveled throughout the world. Psalm 91.
Okay.
The Lord is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Surely he will save me from the foulest snare and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover me with his feathers, and under his wings I will find refuge. His faithfulness will shield and rampant. I will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday. 1,000 may fall by my side, 10,000 to my right, but it will not come near me. I will observe with my eyes and see the punishment of the wickedness. If you make the Most High your dwelling, even the Lord, who is my refuge, no harm will befall you, no disaster will come near your tent. For he will command his angels concerning you and guard you in all your ways. Because he loves you, says the Lord, he will rescue me, protect me, for as long as I acknowledge his name. With long life will he satisfy me and show me his salvation. And that is a scripture that has inspired me. And as I go into detail of my upbringing, the home that I come from, my parents were very spiritual, very religious. I am the second daughter of Max Elias Mason and Catherine Mason.
Okay.
Out of 5 kids, I'm the second and the first eldest daughter. What inspired me, this scripture inspired me, this was my mom's scripture at every day. What my dad taught me, and he raised me very strict. He always said to me that, and what inspired him and his inspiration was President Nelson Mandela. And he would always say to me, my girl, you never lose. You either win or you learn. So that has also inspired me over the years. I am today.
Wow.
I was born in Limpopo province,
Okay.
the northern part of South Africa. I was born in what they would call during apartheid times, a location that was called New Petersburg.
Okay.
Now, I will also explain the formation
All right.
and what happened during the times of segregation and apartheid.
Okay.
We were all living in New Petersburg, and as separate development was orchestrated by the architects of apartheid, obviously, they then moved us into separate development in separate locations.
Okay.
So my family, we then remained in what was called New Petersburg at the time. Those that spoke Sepedi would then move to Seshego, and then obviously Indian people were staying in Nirvana,
Okay.
colored people were staying in Westernburg, so you had separate development. And my family, we remained in New Petersburg. And that I'll also explain that the visions and the dreams my dad had for us. I went to school in Westernburg. I started my school. I won't say which year did I start my primary school, but I will say that I matriculated in 1992 at Texila Secondary School. And Texila Secondary School at the time was, we used to call it an Indian school. Which was an English school. The schools that was in Westernburg, because I went from primary right up until before I went to secondary, I was in Westernburg, which was also predominantly an Afrikaans school, high school. So because my dad wanted me to study English, I then had to go to Texila, which was an English secondary school. And so I matriculated at Texila School. And I still have very fond memories of my high school. And just a few years ago in 2019, just before COVID and the onset of the pandemic, we had our high school reunion. And to speak about school as well, and what I studied at school, and I fondly remember that I had interest, and my interest was basically in history.
Okay.
And then that will set off my journey to where I am today. And I studied history, and I was fond of history, and I don't pay too much attention to all the other subjects. And I remember my history teacher, Mr. Y. Khan, said to me, you know, Grace, you need to multitask, and you need to manage. For you to actually pass your matric, you can't get a distinction in history and then not pass all the other subjects, so you need to manage. And I then realized that yes, so my interest in history, and as I also grew up, my family and how my mom raised us and how my dad raised us. My mom was very religious, so she would make sure that every morning we start the day with prayer. In the evening when we retire, it has to be prayer and gratitude. And you must gratitude to God for the little that we have. And at the time we did not have much. But it was sufficient at the time. And with also the system. My dad worked in Johannesburg, and we were in Limpopo. So we would see him every second weekend or every month, depending on his work as well. And he worked for construction companies, and he was builder, so he also, well, built all the beautiful hotels that you see in Center now. I can proudly say that they were built by my dad. And even Mandela's house, he always used to boast about that. So yes, so we would see him once a month, and then he went abroad and he worked in Botswana. So my mom had the responsibility of raising 5 kids alone and sending us to school. And hence, me and my younger sister, Charlotte, had to start working at a very young age. So,
Excellency, how many ladies are we talking about? Out of 5 children, how many?
Out of 5 children, ladies 3.
And then 2 men.
And 2 men. My elder brother, who I refer to as my twin, we just 1 day and 1 year apart. So we grew up as twins. My mom raised us as twins, so he's my twin. And then my sister Charlotte is 3 years younger than me.
Okay.
And then we have a set of twins that are
real twins.
Real twins now, and they are it's not identical twins. It's a boy and a girl. So Angela and Angelo, and they are 10 years younger than me. So we were 5.
Okay, interesting. And so, how did your mom manage raising you while your dad was absent?
Hence, I said that she raised us in a home where we would put our faith in God.
Also, the typical Sunday morning, going to church, dressing up.
All of that.
Okay.
But we don't wait to Sunday to go to church every day. From the time you wake up in the morning. And she would say, and there were scriptures that we would have to read, and there were psalms that we would have to memorize before we even went to school. And she would drop us at school. Well, that was later. When we were still staying in New Petersburg, my dad was working out and he was working abroad, so my mother had to then raise the 5 of us, and it was not easy at the time. Hence, I'm saying that at a very young age, we had to start working, me and my sister, and even going to school, because we had to walk long distances to school. So me and my brother, because we went to Texila Secondary School, we went to the same school. And my sisters, the siblings, they went to Westernburg School. So they went to a different school, and in that school there was a bus that would ferry them to school. And with ours, because it was an English school, which was quite further in Nirvana, we had to walk 15 kilometers to school in the mornings and 15 kilometers to school in the afternoons.
How did you feel every morning when you get to school?
I would be very tired by the time I had to go to get to school. And on good days, relatively, it was good. But there were those days that when it was raining. And when it was raining, because from New Petersburg, we had to cross under a bridge to get to Westernburg, and from Westernburg we then had to cross a railway line to get to Texila. So it was always just me and my brother. So when it rained, those were days that we would leave in the mornings and walk to school with our umbrellas, of course. And when you get to, they used to call it Santrivier, Sand River. And if the river's overflowing, then we must go across the river or go through the river. And by the time you get to school, your shoes are muddy, and so that was the tough part of going to school and getting an education. For me and my brothers, so we walked. The only days that we could get on a bus were Fridays, because on Fridays it would be prayers. So what we would do is, because our school would come out later, so we're not unable to make the bus in Westernburg. So on Fridays, because it's prayer days at school, because it was a predominantly Indian school, so on Fridays would be prayers. So by 12 o'clock, school would be done, and then we'd walk across to Westernburg, and we'd be able to take the bus. So we'd be able to make the bus only on Fridays. But Mondays to Thursdays,
I'm sure on
we
Fridays
would be walking.
the feeling is different because you know you're going to make the bus on Fridays. It's different when you even wake up or when school is done and you're about to get home because you're going to come with the bus.
No, it is not even that simple, because on Fridays is the Friday that gives me an opportunity to then make the bus, but I would make the bus to town because then I had to go and work.
Okay.
Because on Fridays my brother would then go home with the bus, and then I would join my sister Charlotte, and we and my best friends, because then it was myself, my best friend Mary Ann, Mary Jane, and Beverly.
Okay.
So we would work, and we started at the age of 16.
What kind of work?
We would do casual work
Okay.
at your, what do you call now, your clothing stores.
Okay.
So we would work at Edgar's, which was a clothing store. So on Fridays afternoon, take the bus and go to work. So after school, I still have to go and work.
Yeah.
And then we'd work in a clothing store, and we would work until in the evening and then go home. Saturday we work again, and then Sunday we would work even, and Sunday it was even better because you get overtime, so it's double pay.
Yeah.
So we looked forward to the Sundays.
You made a lot of money.
Yeah. That money that we made was meant not for our personal use, or maybe some of it, but was also to help at home.
Okay. Yeah.
Because then with my dad that was working abroad, we would then, me and my sister would help pay for our education, stationaries, and help the rest of our siblings, and my mom as well. So that was basically...
Is it that your dad was not getting through to you back here? I mean, your family, your mom, then your other siblings, where money was even coming in to support your education and then other things in the home, and so you had to work to be able to get the monies to support yourself, either in school, clearing school fees, and then some other bills.
No, my dad was sending money.
Okay.
It would be every second week that he comes, so if it was monthly, he would send money. But for us, we worked for our additional school requirements and stationery, so we started working from a very young age. Me and my younger sister.
All
yes.
right. We've just started with the conversation, and I hope that we're going to continue. But thanks, and I hope that you're also getting along with the conversation. Right from school and then going back to go and work at the age of 16 years, we get to know what happens next when they are done selling. And moving on, what did they get to? We'll go back for a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue with that conversation. Stay with us.
Do you know that we have phenomenal influence on our various regulatory bodies? How many of these regulatory bodies do you know within the country? Are you aware you can lodge your complaints if and when you are not satisfied with a product or service? How often do you ask the relevant questions? Whom do you call when things are not rightly done? Connect with me on Regulators on Adwa TV as we deliberate on the purpose of these regulatory institutions, their functions, accomplishments, and shortcomings. We ask the back-breaking questions and get the unpolished truth. Be a part of our conversations.
welcome back to your most interesting show on TV. It is the premiere edition of Horizon Village 007, and we are reminding you that we have a conversation with Her Excellency Jeanet Mason, South African High Commissioner to Ghana. She's told us about how she grew up, her family, and her siblings. Now she's also explained to us how going to school was and working at the same time. Now the conversation we're going to have now is going to be about her dreams as a child, what she wanted to do when she grows up, and if her parents had anything different from what she wanted to do. Don't forget, we are still in coronavirus times. You have to wash our hands regularly and the running water with soap and clean with the tissue, and also use 100% alcohol-based sanitizer. After that, if you want to sneeze, make sure you're going through all the protocols. Let's wear our face mask and wear it correctly and protect ourselves and protect our families as well. Your Excellency, you're welcome back.
Thank you.
All right. Now, moving away from closing school on Fridays and going back to work with your friends on Fridays, Saturdays, and even Sundays, where you're going to get extra cash. What really happened again from there?
Well, basically, that sets off my career, and we would work extra hours on weekends to accumulate money for going to university.
Okay.
And having a future, though. During those times, what was available in terms of, and during apartheid, was available to youth and young people like us were limited options. You either go into the police force, you go into the defense force, you become a nurse, or you become a teacher.
Okay.
There weren't really
A lot of
options that were available at our disposal at the time.
Okay.
So we would work Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, and save up enough money to go to university.
Okay.
And that sets off when I matriculated, and during the year, because then you start from standard, then it was standard 9, now it's grade 11.
Okay.
Where you would then start applying to all the universities, colleges, teachers' colleges, and because we couldn't afford universities then, we would opt for teachers' colleges, nursing colleges, whatever was available at the time.
Okay.
So we started applying in standard 9, which was your grade 11 now. And I can still vividly remember that at the time I applied with my best friend Beverly Pillay.
Okay.
We applied to be foreign service officers in foreign affairs then, and it was foreign affairs then.
Okay.
It's now Department of International Relations and Cooperation. So we applied to be foreign service officers at the time.
What about Mary Ann and Mary Jane?
Mary Ann then went to apply into the Defense Force, so she went to the Defense Force.
Okay.
Mary Jane studied, and now she's working at ESCOM currently, so she continued with her studies.
All right.
Myself and Beverly have always wanted to go abroad, international, with my younger sister. And remember, my best friend at home, because where we lived, my dad was very strict, so he didn't really allow me to play a lot and have many friends. So at home, my friend was my younger sister. And my mom had said that your best friend is your younger sister. So to date, Charlotte is my best friend, my younger sister.
All right.
Getting
Your
back,
Excellency, before you continue on applying with your best friend to international relations, did you like it? Did you like that kind of treatment at home? Did you like it? Your father being strict and not allowing you to mingle so much out there with people. Did you like it?
No, I was very rebellious at the time, and being a young person, but my dad was very strict, and he had said, and he would always say to me, may his soul rest in peace, and I'm sure he's proud of me where he is, that I'm raising you, girlie, to be the best that you can be. no friends, so education. So there wasn't enough time to play, because by the time I walked 15 kilometers from school to home, I get home, it's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. I still have to do homework. So there was never time to have friends anyway. So yes. I think I disappointed my dad, and I say this because he raised me to be the strong woman that I am today, is when we had to apply. Now, when we applied for foreign service officers, and it was during 92, Mandela was released from prison, but it was still the negotiation, so it was still apartheid then. At that point, they did not accept us.
Okay.
At least my friend Beverly went for an interview. With me, they didn't even consider me. I didn't even get an acknowledgement letter to say that the regrets or whatever. And that's where my passion was, that I want to go and work abroad. I want to be a foreign service officer at Foreign Affairs. I want to travel the world, and that was my dream. And at that point, it was unfortunately, I was not accepted.
But how did you feel? Were you happy? Did you think that you could still try again?
Yes. I believed then, because that was my passion, that was my dream. And I had then thought, okay, let me study and continue my education in the field that would lead me to my ultimate dream. Eventually.
Yeah.
And as fate would have it, I then applied for Teachers College.
Okay.
In the year 92, after we all matriculated, we all went our different ways. I then applied to a teacher's college, and my dad was not happy with me, because everybody was going to what they call then your teachers' colleges that are in urban areas in Johannesburg. So everybody was leaving Limpopo, going to Johannesburg to go and study at a teachers' college, and they called it, then it was Rand College. I then decided to go to a teachers' college in a village.
Okay.
And my dad, it says that I send you to the best schools.
Also to a village.
Which was an English school for you to go on to Johannesburg and other institutions. And I decided to go to a teacher's college in a village because, and I said to him, it's more affordable. And also I get to learn the languages in the province. So that has always been something
you have a bigger dream. Which is to go international.
Absolutely.
And you have to know all the languages.
All the languages in the province.
Yeah.
And that's what ultimately, where my career starts. So a year into it at H.E College of Education, it's in Limpopo, but more up to the northern part. So I went to H.E College of Education. And the subjects that they were doing there, they were doing Sepedi, and subjects that I didn't even do at school, but I was ready to learn. And a year into it, by December, I realized that teaching is not for me. I'm not going to be a teacher. I'm not that patient. I love kids. I'm compassionate, but not that patient with kids. And I had to take a decision whether it was studying, teaching senior school, senior students, or primary kids. And I love kids, and I've got a passion for kids. But as a career, I said, no, I don't have the patience for this. I'm just too much of perfectionist. I love order, structure in everything that I do. So I came back, and that's the part where I said to my dad when I came back, don't even say it, I told you so. So I'm like, okay.
You had reconciled with him? Yeah,
we said go and see if this is what you want and what you will achieve, and we'll see. And don't say I told you so.
Okay.
So I came back after a year, got home at the end of the year. Dad, Mom,
okay.
Teaching is not for me. I was like, okay. And my dad says to my mom that he'll always say in Afrikaans to my mom, Oos, I told you so. Just went to go and waste money a whole year. And she must decide what she wants to do now. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go job hunting now. So I started looking for a job now. But my heart was always in international relations. So I started working as a personal assistant, and I landed a good job in government then. But as a personal assistant, and I worked my way up to 2 years from there. And I decided to register. And I registered at the department, at the University of South Africa, UNISA. And I registered a degree in arts, BA in arts, where I majored with politics, international politics, and African politics.
There was no way you were going to go without having a course in international relations.
International relations was always there, and I majored in politics, international relations, development studies, and African politics. So that was always, and it took me longer to complete. Instead of completing it over 3 years, I then had to complete it over 5 years because I would have to work and still study at the same time. So which took quite longer. But ultimately, I then completed my degree in arts, and as I said, I actually also did very well in politics and international relations, got a few distinctions, but that is always what I was passionate about. So that was in 2007. What made it also, as I was working now in the year 2000, I then got promoted as a senior secretary to director communications and protocol. And this is the most important part because this is where I draw inspiration and the love, and I see where I'm going. So I then, from a secretary to a senior secretary, I then apply and get promoted, and I then work in the office of the director, communications and protocol, then Mr. Jack Mukobi. May his soul rest in eternal peace. And yes, and I was his secretary, but I was not too much interested in the communication aspects of the work, but I was more interested in the protocol because I would see the protocol officers, and that's where I also then make another best friend, Faith Rampula, who then teaches me protocol. So I'm a secretary, and I see the protocol officers moving around with these flags, going from, and it's in Limpopo, so it was protocol in the province. So it's from one protocol to another, to the other. And when I joined as well, I had then just had my first daughter, Tunique. She's 19 years old now, and she studies in Turkey. So I joined protocol then as I was a senior secretary in that year. Then I gave birth to Tonique when I was then promoted as a protocol officer because of my love for the work that they do. They're moving around with a flag.
You enjoyed it.
I see them going, they're sleeping out, they're going from one region to another, from one district to another, and I just fell in love with what they were doing. So and then because of the background of what I was studying, so I was studying international relations and diplomacy, so I'm actually seeing it, but at a provincial level. The application of protocol, the procedures to it, so I completely fell in love with it. And at the time when I was then promoted, I had just had my daughter, so I had to leave my daughter with my mom, and I couldn't really bond with my daughter, so I had to then immediately start working, because the director then gave me an opportunity because of the love that I have and for the job. And I was then trained by Faith Rampula then, because we worked together, and she's still working at Terco now, and my greatest teacher in protocol. Started my career from a protocol officer. Then I got a promotion as a director protocol and joined Foreign Affairs, which was Department of International Relations today, and that was 2009.
Oh la la, you had landed what you had always dreamt about.
And because of my love for it and the passion that I had for it, and this is everything, it was living my dream.
Yes.
And when I got promoted, and now I'm leaving the province and going to Pretoria at the seat, an apex of government, and at the Department of International Relations, which is more responsibility for me now. I then was appointed as a director, state visits, and I then get to travel the world as a director, state visits, the coordination of all state visits and protocol. And it's now at a higher level, because now in the province I was working with MECs and then the Premier of the province then, Premier Ramatlodi and Premier Salomoloto then. And in Pretoria, it's at a level of head of state. And I work with heads of states, ministers of foreign affairs of South Africa, and all international ministers of foreign affairs. So I'm now at that level, and I'm excited, but also the responsibility of it, because it's a lot of responsibility that I then take on. But
along it all, I've been able to identify certain things: determination, focus, and then hard work. From all that you have narrated, these are the three things I can map it onto, and that is what has made you realize this dream that you've always had, where people thought that you were wasting money or you're even wasting time going for some kind of training, and teaching was not for you and all that. We get to find out when we come back from the break about what she did next. Now her dream has gotten or has become a reality. How is her life now as the High Commissioner of South Africa to Ghana? We'll be right back after the short break.
Do you know that we have phenomenal influence on our various regulatory bodies? How many of these regulatory bodies do you know within the country? Are you aware you can lodge your complaints if and when you are not satisfied with a product or service? How often do you ask the relevant questions? Whom do you call when things are not rightly done? Connect with me on Regulators on Adwa TV as we deliberate on the purpose of these regulatory institutions, their functions, accomplishments, and shortcomings. We ask the back-breaking questions and get the unpolished truth. Be a part of our conversations.
You're welcome back to the Horizon Village 007 right here on Adwa TV. One thing I would like you to note is that if you're growing as an individual, as a human being, you start with a step. You should enjoy every step along the way. It never comes as a surprise. It is not magic, but you should be able to enjoy the process. With hard work, perseverance and persistence, you will be able to achieve your dreams. We are speaking to Her Excellency Jeanet Mason, the South African High Commissioner to Ghana, and she's told us all about her childhood, education. Now we are talking about work experiences and how she became the High Commissioner. From there, we can talk about some other family stuff. We'll talk about music, we'll talk about food, we'll talk about her hobbies, and some other ones you will be interested to know about. Your Excellency, now you have been able to go through learning who a protocol officer is, and you had to move out from where you lived by then to another place, leaving your daughter behind with your mom. What really transpired again?
Yes. Now, as I moved to Pretoria, well, I left my daughter with my mom at a very early age. But in 2009, as I moved on to Pretoria, my parents had then passed on, which was also a very difficult period for me in my life. And I then moved to Pretoria, had all the responsibility, new position, more senior position, more responsibility. And with responsibility, as you've said, comes hard work, consistency, perseverance. And in this field of protocol, and I'm always remembered by my former boss, the chief of protocol, that would say that with protocol, the devil's in the detail. You have to always pay attention to detail. And that's what Ambassador Lossi had taught me, that with protocol, it's the detail, and because you work at a level with heads of states, you have to coordinate their events. You need to coordinate, manage the program, the step-by-step program, the detail that goes into it, the facilitation of it, the coordination of it. Now, everything that I would have studied in international politics and international relations is now the practical application of it in protocol, which is protocol is diplomacy applied. So I've got the formal education, knowledge of it, and at the point that I'm in, I'm doing the practical application of diplomacy, which is protocol. I coordinate incoming visits, outgoing visits, state visits, official visits, your binational commissions, special working visits, special events, and that's for ministers of foreign affairs, all the heads of states, and I've been truly blessed to have had the opportunity to work with all statesmen in South Africa, great leaders, ministers of foreign affairs, and hence my gratitude to Minister Baddoo and President Ramaphosa for appointing me as a High Commissioner to the Republic of Ghana.
Thank you.
But the responsibility that goes with it, and yes, I have been fortunate to have traveled the world.
How many countries?
Oh, at the time when it came to 80, I had lost count.
Wow.
But I have traveled in the past 10 years. I have traveled most countries on the continent, which I love traveling to, abroad, and that came with the responsibility then as a Deputy Chief of Protocol. So I attended all bilateral visits, your multilateral forums and meetings that I would have to then attend and go in advance and coordinate for the political principles. So with that came a lot of responsibility, also a lot of compromises that I've had to make, and not compromises in the sense that I've had to compromise anything or family, but it's sacrifices that I've had to make. Sacrifices with raising my daughters. I've got 3 beautiful daughters.
Wow.
And
They look like you?
You'll see them shortly. They're going to come back from school.
Okay.
My daughter, Tonique.
That's the first daughter?
That's the first daughter,
Okay.
and she's studying in Turkey now. She's studying architecture.
Wow.
And with her, I sometimes look at myself in the mirror, because with all my travels, she had to then also be responsible for her siblings.
That was what you were doing.
That's what I was doing. So I inadvertently raised her very strict as well, how my dad raised me.
Of course.
So I gave her a lot of responsibility that she had to also care for her siblings, because they are much younger and they are 13 and 14 this year. And I'm with them here in Ghana. So she had to also play that part, but also to my siblings, because I was never at home, and I had lost touch with all the friends and acquaintances that I had, but I still kept my best friends that I have, and they understand the nature of the work that I do, the responsibility that I have, that I do keep in touch whenever I'm available, then if I'm not working or if I haven't traveled. But also my younger sisters, Charlotte and Angela, would then be responsible for taking care of my kids, my daughters now in Pretoria. So when I've traveled, my younger sister Angela would then take care of the kids, provide for them, cook for them, take them to school, do their homeworks, attend all of the school functions, and also family events like family gatherings, birthdays, weddings, all of that I wasn't able to attend. But and because of the work that I did, of which I'm very grateful for, so my friends and family, with my brother Angelo, would have to also, you know, kids come and discipline kids, and also be an elder, a brother, more father figure to my kids, as I'm currently a single parent raising my 3 daughters. So that was what I've had to sacrifice, and if I had to do it, I'll do it over again. But also just to understand that what has also inspired me is great women. An inspiration is my mom.
Okay.
Always knowing that in everything that I do, that I would put God first, family second, and my career
Third.
Third, very ambitious, but my career third. And that is what has actually kept me grounded, and that I should always remain humble. Humility, always remain humble, true to myself. Before I was appointed High Commissioner to Ghana, I lived with a woman that inspires me, who I still miss very much, my grandmother, and she's 96 years old and she's blind.
She's still alive?
She's still alive, yes.
Wow.
And I lived with her for the past 6 years.
Is it from your maternal?
From my dad's side.
Dad's side, maternal.
So I lived with her, and she would inspire me, and she would say to me that, you know, you've got an old soul. You're young, but you've got an old soul. So that's the wisdom that I would get, and I would listen to her from my travels. When I come back from my travels, and I would be exhausted, and I would come and find her at home, and she would pray for me, and she would believe to pray every single day from the morning to the evening. She would be praying when I'm traveling. She would be praying for me, and she would be saying, "Laat ek jou hande oplê, let me pray for you. I pray for the aircraft that you are traveling in, for the pilot that's
everybody
driving you there, for everybody else, and pray for the presidents as well." So that is what I've learned, to pray and
never stop.
I never stop praying, and with gratitude, and knowing who you are, finding your purpose in life, and your destiny, no matter how it takes you, on which turns it takes you. It took me on a roundabout, but ultimately I then landed up 20 years later into a dream I had when I completed high school. So it's just living, hard work, and never to give up. Never to give up, and to remain true to yourself. Live your life, and experience the grandest and greatest version of who you are. And to young people out there, that it is not easy. It's hard work. You need to make some sacrifices, work hard, and yes, you will achieve your dreams.
Your Excellency, I want to find out, do you think that life would have been this rosy or interesting if you didn't have the support of your family? Because at the point where you had your first child, your mother was there, your siblings were there to always extend a hand, and at a point you lost your parents. Siblings were still there to support you.
Yes.
And on the other side, you were also going after your dreams. If family was not that supportive, do you think this would have been realized?
Absolutely not. And hence I have said that the most important things in my life is God, put God first, and family. That is the greatest gift that I have, the greatest support that has sustained me in my life, in my career, and to date, it is still my family that is the most important thing.
All right, let's talk about your relationship with the children. Traveling around, still having them at the background, knowing that our mother is out there chasing her dreams and looking up to her and other things, maybe seeing on TV or hearing about her and all those things. What's your relationship like with the children?
I think kids are very resilient. And because I had my daughters when I started protocol. So it is not something that I started doing when they were already born. As I started in 2000, I started in protocol. Tunique was 4 months old, so I didn't really have the luxury of being there. It always traveled, or even breastfeeding, as I would have loved to as a mother. Yes, but kids are very resilient. They understand the nature of the work that I do. They understand that they don't see me often, and they know. And for them, when they would switch on the TV and happen to see me, at first they would be excited and understand, would understand, Mommy, but what is this job that you're doing? What are you doing? And I would explain protocol, but yes, we understand protocol, you're chief of protocol, we see you, but what does it actually mean and understand? So for them, now that I'm, and I would say blessed with this opportunity and this posting, that I am right here, and I get to spend more time with my kids, and it's not making up for all the time that I had lost. So I have more time to spend with family after my work, of course, and the responsibilities that I have. On weekends, I would spend time with them. In the evenings, now they sit me down to do homework, and I'm like, oh, okay.
You get to enjoy the ride.
And then they get to enjoy. Now they get to enjoy me, and that's the relationship that I have, and they would want me to be the mother now, cook for them, take them to the malls.
Wow.
And that's, but yeah, that's my family.
It'll be interesting to see you cooking for them and demanding of you as their mother. Of course, we want to see that you're giving them food, you're taking care of them, praying early in the morning, making sure that their things are up to it for them to go to school. But let me ask that at the point when you started having them, did you ever feel that it was a hindrance for you to achieve your dreams? Because it was just at the peak that you were now realizing that you were getting closer to your dreams, and then you had your first child. Did it at any point seem to you as though it was going to be a hindrance and you had two options, either to choose that or to choose chasing after your career?
If I'd had to do it, I'd do it all over again.
Okay.
I have no regrets. I love my daughters. I think I've raised them well. And the same principles that I was raised with my mom, I impart in my daughters.
Okay.
In the mornings before they go to school, we say a prayer, and we pray for the transport that takes them to school, the teachers that are teaching them. But it's the prayer that we do, and I have no regrets. And this is what makes women strong. You have to be a mother. You also have to be a career woman, and also be a professional and excel at what you do at work. Also come home and still be a wife. Being a wife at the same time, you still have to be in the kitchen, cooking and preparing a meal for your family as well. And you have to retire in the evening and still have the strength to dream, to be great, and to dream to be a successful woman. And there are a lot of successful women and women that inspire me, as I've indicated, and I would like to inspire young women that it is possible. You can still run a career, still be a mother, still be a wife, still be successful at what you do, because we have what it takes. We have the propensity, the capabilities to do that, to multitask and still be great women. So, yes.
It's one thing that men envy about women a lot, multitasking. Because, like you said, being a wife, being a cook in the house, and still being the cleaner in the house, and making sure that everything is in order, and running after your dreams as well, to become greater than you've even dreamt about. Your Excellency, we are very grateful. We are still going to continue with the conversation. If you're watching us, we are streaming live also on Facebook and also on YouTube. You can watch the show. It's Horizon Village 007 on Adwa TV. My name is Anastasia Baddoo. We'll be going on to know what the hobbies of Her Excellency are. And I'm talking about, she mentioned cooking. We're going to go in there to see her favorite dish. And then we also get to know a lot more about her hobbies and what she likes to do on her leisure times. You've joined the conversation. We'll be right back after the show.
Do you know that we have phenomenal influence on our various regulatory bodies? How many of these regulatory bodies do you know within the country? Are you aware you can lodge your complaints if and when you are not satisfied with a product or service? How often do you ask the relevant questions? Whom do you call when things are not rightly done? Connect with me on Regulators on Adwa TV as we deliberate on the purpose of these regulatory institutions, their functions, accomplishments, and shortcomings. We ask the back-breaking questions and get the unpolished truth. Be a part of our conversations.
Welcome back from the break to the show, and here right now we're going to talk about her hobbies. We're going to talk about food because she mentioned cooking as well. We'll get to know what she likes to cook and what it is made of, and some nutritional values also. In South Africa, this is greatly enjoyed. We're going to talk about that. I hope you are enjoying the conversation. Your Excellency, what do we have on the table?
Thank you, Anastasia. I will start with this dish. This is what we have, what we call a pap.
That looks like banku.
Exactly, it's our staple food in South Africa, and you find it in all homes in South Africa. Whether it is across all ethnic homes, you find pap. We have it as a main meal. We have it on barbecues. You can even have it for breakfast.
What's it made of?
It's made of millie meal.
Okay.
It's made of millie meal.
And what do we have here?
And here we have what we call your lamb stew from the Karoo.
Okay.
And this is lamb stew with vegetables. This is the kind of stew that you would have in Ghana, which you would call your
sauce or something.
Yes.
Like beef sauce. Beef sauce. There's like a beef sauce. Yes. I can see beans representing here as well.
This as well is another staple dish that you find in South Africa, predominantly in the Eastern Cape region, and we call it umngqushu.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, very good.
Okay.
And this consists of samp,
Okay.
beans, your sugar beans, kidney beans. We've included some vegetables and
Looks
some
as though vegetables
meat
is the main
as
thing
well.
on the table. Sausages, sort
Yes.
of. Or these are different.
This sausage, what we refer to in South Africa is boerewors. Now the boerewors, it's a sausage that you find that everybody has in South Africa. You have it as a breakfast as a sausage, but we love to have it as a barbecue, what we call a braai in South Africa. So this is boerewors. So we have it as a braai or chisanyama. And chisanyama is usually on Sundays, your jazz, relaxing mood. So you would have your braai, or national days when we celebrate. We have a barbecue and have a braai. We have your wors with your chakalaka, and it goes with your pap as well. And what makes it even more succulent is you have to eat it with your hands. So you have to eat the pap with your hands.
With the sauce and everything.
With the sauce and the chakalaka and the boerewors.
Which is a chakalaka?
The chakalaka is this. This
looks like a tomato
Yeah, like a
sauce?
tomato sauce with some vegetables in as well, and pepper. So it's a bit
Okay. But
spicy.
how is this? Is it steamed? Is it fried? Is it roasted? How's it
You
done?
can cook it, you can have it on a coal fire,
Okay.
you can braai it, yes.
And then
That's
there's
what we call
vegetables here.
boerewors, and this is what we have as vegetables, and this is your spinach, and this is your green spinach.
All right. So,
So-
on a normal day, if you have all these, it's only telling you that you're in South Africa, or it's just reminding you about
It is
South Africa?
reminding of South Africa, absolutely.
All right. So I understand that this is what you love to cook if you have to do that for your family.
Yes.
All
yes.
right. And aside cooking, what other hobbies are there that you like to engage in? Then we can call it a day.
The hobbies I love to engage in is sport. I'm a very active
I heard so too.
person. You heard that?
Yeah,
sir?
I heard that.
Yes, absolutely. So I keep fit. I'm a road runner. I run.
Were you doing this back in school?
In school, I was even more active. I used to do all sorts of sports, marathons, volleyball, long jumps, high jumps, and I actually did very well. But because my dad ran marathons, he ran ultra marathons.
Okay.
The most biggest event in South Africa is the Comrades Marathon, and he ran it about 6 times. That's about 90 kilometers.
Okay.
And he did the 2 Oceans marathon. So at home, that is what we grew up knowing that.
Is this what
we
has
must
kept
run.
you looking this hot?
Absolutely. So yes, I'm a road runner. I love tennis as well, and water sports. Favorite as water sports. So I've been to Ada on the ski bikes, and
Sure, you
I
had
love
a good
water
time.
sports. Oh, absolutely, I love water sports.
All right. Keeping fit and then what you take in also makes you a healthy person. And I understand you're vegan. What inspired this?
What also keeps and my mom used to say a healthy body houses a healthy mind. So it's very important what you consume. So I basically, what I do is I eat right for my blood type.
Okay.
So I'm O positive.
Okay.
That's my blood type.
Okay.
So I avoid foods like sugars, citruses. I do not take. So I would take more your pineapples that goes with my blood type.
Okay.
And I would protein, lots of protein. I take lots of protein, especially
Fish?
fish. That's the protein that I take, and I keep away from carbohydrates and breads and things. So I eat right for my type.
Right. Okay. It's been interesting, Your Excellency, having you. I hope that this is going to taste very nice. To our viewers who are watching, of course, they will have to try this. There are lots of things we have represented on the table, and if you're visiting anywhere that has South African dishes, you should be looking out for some of these. At least let's taste. Like we said, in the South African month, you should eat South Africa. At least if you don't know anything at all, you should know something about your dishes. Of course, being in Ghana is interesting. Have you tasted any peculiar foods here in Ghana?
Oh yes, I love Ghana cuisine. I have every week tilapia.
Okay.
I have contomere. I have tried banku. I've tried okoro soup, fufu, all the dishes.
What is your favorite?
Tilapia.
Just the tilapia.
Just the tilapia fish.
Okay.
That's my favorite.
But not the contomere.
The contomere as well, because it also has a lot of the protein in it.
Okay.
And I religiously also take, and I tell this to my colleagues at the High Commission when I come in the morning with my bag and my flask. And I say that no, it's my sobolo that I take.
Sobolo,
so,
okay.
So
It's
good for my blood. It's good protein. So yeah, energy and yeah.
All right. Any favorite music so far? Any favorite music, whether South African or Ghanaian music that you enjoy?
Both. Your South African music. I'm a lover of all the genres. I love you, Masekela's music. I was listening to it the other day and last night at a dinner that we had. Brenda Fassie,
Okay.
Ringo Madlingosi, because it still rings in my subconscious. Your Afro-pop music that we have from the from what you call it, the province that I come from, and the latest, obviously, the hit is your Master H.E currently, but there's a lot of older genres. Relaxation, I would like to relax, with more subtle music that I would listen to, jazz and your contemporary musics, not really South African, but your Bocellis and that. Ghana, I listen to your Afro-pop music, but I also love Diana Hamilton.
Any favorites so that we can play it at the back while we wrap up the conversation?
I don't.
Okay, so we're going to get that at the background, and we're going to have a short dance with the High Commissioner. But gradually, we are getting to the end of the conversation on the premiere edition of the Horizon Village 007 show right here on Adwa TV with me, Anastasia Baddoo. I'll take your final words, Your Excellency. Your final words to our viewers and to all who are watching. Of course, maybe there are some other embassies or high commissions that will want to also have this opportunity. You are first guest anyway.
Absolutely, it is. I'm very honored and a very humbling experience for me to share my experiences, my journey, where it all started to where I am, and I still have dreams that will still take me further on this path and the same journey.
Okay.
But to say to young people, and I want to inspire women in particular, young women in particular, young men as well, stay true to your dreams, hard work, perseverance, consistency will get you there. And to fellow Ghanaians, please do visit South Africa. It is a beautiful country. with all its provinces, culture, the music, the food, the entertainment, and like South Africans, like Ghanaians, we have Ubuntu, humility, and a peaceful nation, like Ghana is a peaceful nation. And my gratitude also goes to the Foreign Ministry for having to receive me here in Ghana, for me to be able to execute my responsibilities. The President, President Ramaphosa, that has appointed me as well, and most importantly, the support that I get. And like I said, the support that I get from my family, and I have an extended family. I have my son here, Troy, who is my nephew. And to me, I say that I have 4 sons and 4 daughters, so my nieces and nephews are also my children, because I also came with my nephew here. And also just to indicate that I am truly grateful for the opportunity.
You're grateful,
and God bless Ghana, and God bless South Africa.
God bless you too. We've been speaking to one of the most beautiful personalities when it comes to high commissioners and ambassadors. We've been speaking to Her Excellency Jeanet Mason, the South African High Commissioner to Ghana. It's been very interesting, and I hope that you've been able to learn something. We've learned about some dishes in South Africa. I hope that you're going to look out for it. And like she said, let's visit South Africa. They have a lot of nice places. This is Ghana, and we are proud Ghanaians, but as accommodating as we are living as family. This is why we bring you to the end of the show, the Horizon Village 007 show, right here on Adwa TV. My name is Anastasia Baddoo. Do have a good day.